Come on.
What's like?
Take a seat.
Right.
Fa have we got tonight in the Doric studio?
Right, I'm Denis Shepherd for Aberdeen for the last 50 years, though I maybe didn't sound like it.
You're no relation to Robbie Shepherd, are you?
Well, sort of, for a distance. I once said to Robbie, I think I'm your third cousin twice removed, and he says, well, the further removed, the better.
Well, before any further ado, Denis, I've actually lit a candle. In fact, I've lit 3 candles tonight. Because I think it's very important that we remember those that have gone in the past. Because that's where we've got our inspiration from.
Well, Mr. Shepherd, Denis, we are in exciting times at present because we are in midst of a Doric Scots language revival.
Yes, up to a point. There's lots of children at certain bits of the country, like when you go to the Strichen Festival, there's whole classes come and compete in the Doric verse because their teachers put them into it. And at Aberdeen, we're lucky if we get 1 or 2. It just depends on the culture of that area, really. But yes, there are children carrying on with the Doric. Especially if they follow especially if they're native Doric speakers themselves. I've heard children do Doric poems, but it's sort of in a Glasgow accent, so some of the words they've changed because they couldn't understand the original Doric word. But if you follow people like J.C. Milne, which is how I got started reciting Doric, and the late Ian Middleton, from Bothy, he had Doric songs and poems and his books, which is true Doric. If you follow them, you can't go far wrong.
There you go, Burns. There we go.
Right. Denis, who or what has inspired you on your Doric journey?
Well, that would take a long time to get through, but I do various things, and the musically, my inspiration would have been my dad, because when I was young in the farm, he and his brother and his brother's wife and 1 or 2 others had an amateur ceilidh band, and I used to play the accordion at night in the house. And he also played the Bothy, which I do now. Singing, well, I've got about 200 songs in my head. Some of them are Doric, some of them are nae, and they just come for oh no why and now why.
Oh, Denis, you're like me, you're fair Ferrum.
And
I must say that it must be from our Fairman days and our Fairman roots that's given us this inspiration.
Oh, naturally, yes.
Did you work in your father's Ferrum?
Well, the holidays and weekends, if he was busy, I was expert at certain things, certain time of the year. Like when I came home for the holidays, it started with a hoe in the neeps. Then it went on to trumping the silage and spreading it onto the pit. And then time of the hay, it was turning the hay with the tractor and the Viking Lily turner. And then sometimes if the harvest was early enough, I got to help with it as well before I went away back to my studies.
Denis, to hear you speak, that's music to my lungs. It is, Denis. Well, Denis, I do believe it's like lads like your father and my father and our mothers that really are behind all this. Because if it wasn't for them and their example that they showed us in life, the way that we were brought up in the country, I don't think we'd be doing this the day. So actually, this is for them. Denis, we were just thinking if our fathers in their working days, they didn't have the same entertainment as that we've got nowadays. It was hard work. So, what do you think your father would have done musically for the entertainment and the community side of Fairman?
Well, he'd a ceilidh band, as I said, with his brother, and they played at local dances. In fact, he played at a wedding once, but that was just an extra, a wedding in the Cults Hotel. And they set up on stage. But my sister says to me, you realise Dad's band will have to get off when the real band arrive.
What a cheek! What a cheek! Listen, us ordinary folk. Denis, fit a musical instrument did your father play?
Well, it was mainly the accordion which he played in a band, but he could play the mouthy quite well as well.
Is this where you've got your musical?
Well, that's where I got my my ability, I presume, and partly my inspiration. But he said he could have probably played the piano as well, but you'd had to turn the piano up on its side because he was used to playing the accordion. Anyway, inspirations. It was many years later. I met two great mouthy players in Aberdeen, Arthur Middleton and Betty Barnett. And it was just sort of after they'd passed away that I started playing the mouthy seriously. I've written a couple of tunes, and one of them was dedicated to the three people who inspired me to play the mouthy. It's got Betty and Arthur and Dad. There's no words to it, but if you listen to the end of each verse, you hear the tune going, Betty and Arthur and Dad. I'll just give you a wee bit of it. Betty and Arthur and Dad.
Oh! And your next tune, Denis?
Well, this is a well-known Doric tune, if you can get tunes in Doric.
Of course you can.
It's called The Hens Walk Over the Dung Heap. But if you translated it into Doric, it's The Hens March Over the Midden. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the hens.
Denis, I could definitely hear the hens clucking.
I'll bet that chickens no eggs doing here. I only really took up the mouthy seriously about 3 years before my dad died, and I wasn't really up to his standard at that time. But he did say there was one tune that I could play better than he could, and I was quite chuffed about it, and that was The Hens March Over the Midden.
I see, Denis, you have got more than one mouthy.
Yes, I've got one in A, one in C, one in B flat, one in D, one in F, and one in G. So depending on which tune I'm playing, I've got to pick up the right mouthy with the right key.
And so which tune you get to play for us now, Denis?
This is in called the Methlic Barn Dance, which I composed many years ago when I was young on my practice chanter. A practice chanter is an instrument which is like a bit of the pipes, and that's what you use to learn the fingering for the pipes. And I composed this tune, but it had never been played, it didn't have a name. Then, many years later, it was played at a concert at Methlic by myself and my friend. And it didn't have a name when we started, but when we finished, it had a name, the Methlic Barn Dance.
Here we go. Denis, we hear a lot about Bothy ballads. Bothy ballads, what are Bothy ballads, Denis?
Well, officially it's a traditional song about farm life, and it's usually written in the local dialect, obviously. I've only once won a Bothy ballad competition, because you get Bothy ballad and traditional songs, they're separate competitions. But because I won that once, it qualified me to go to the big Bothy Ballad World Championships, some people call it, at Elgin in February. So the song I sang, I learned for an LP many years ago. It was sung by a man from Ballindalach, who even wrote it as well, Willie Clark. It's got bros. I was only a halfling when I left the glen, to work as the ora alone do not kill Glen. It was fairly a change for a laddie like me, to get bros for my breakfast, my dinner and tea. No bros in the morning is a very weel, they dinna need chard and the milk you could swill. But at dinner time, losh, I would rather hae brie than the bros for my breakfast, my dinner and tea. At night I was hungry, I get to my bed, and dreamed about bannocks and butter instead. But in the morning I walk in to see the bros for my breakfast, my dinner and tea.
Now, for all these folk out there, I don't know if
Right,
bros
I was
is.
thinking that.
What's bros?
Well, I used to make it for my supper quite a lot. I took 2 spoonfuls of oatmeal, a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper, and I put a bit of butter in it as well. And then the skill of making it is knowing exactly how much boiled water to put in. Then you add the boiled water, and you just have to get the correct amount. If you put too much, it gets weak and not very appetizing. And if you haven't enough, it gets into a lump, and it's too late to put in more. So then you stir it up, and lo and behold, that's your bros. You add milk or cream or whatever you want.
And bros would have been the staple diet, when the part of the staple diet for farming folk, wouldn't it?
Well, that was the whole point of the farm. They got bros for their breakfast, their dinner, and their tea.
We're so lucky.
My dad had a story about a local couple that ran this farm, and obviously at the hair's time, when everybody's busy, it's all hands on deck. The women and I had to come out and help, and the woman was out helping as well. And when it came up to tea time or supper time, the woman says, I'm sorry, but I've been out here all day and had time to make anything for our supper. Is it okay if we just have bros? And the man says, Mechty, I haven't had bros for a long time. No, since dinner time.
Bros. Denis, there's a lot of folk abroad are watching this Doric future material, and I think that would bring a tear to the eye. Denis, if you could sing a verse out of the Northern Lights of Old Aberdeen.
Well, I've never done this in public before. When I'm playing it with another chap, he does the singing and I do the playing, but I'll try to do the first 4 lines. The northern lights of old Aberdeen mean home, sweet home to me. The northern lights of Aberdeen are what I long to see. I've been a wanderer all my life, and many's a sight I've seen. But speed the day when I'm on my way to my home in Aberdeen.
You see, you can't help but join into that, Denis. Another talent of this Denis Shepherd, is Doric songwriter. Tell us about this.
Okay, I've made up a few songs and poems as well in Doric. the one that's most, in fact, there's one poem that's very popular and one song that's very popular. The song is one I wrote 3 years ago for the songwriting competition held by the TMSA in Aberdeen. And it's got the Morning Roll song. I get into the baker's yesterday just after 7. The baker says, I ken you weel, I ken fit you'll be having. No div you want a morning roll or a marang the day. No, you aren't wrong, you've got it recht. A morning roll is fit all hay. Now another man had come in and was standing in the shop. He said to pass these off for morning rolls. Well, that is not much cop. If people come for morning rolls, that's a funny thing to bake. But down there on the bottom shelf, one of those is what I'll take. So I turned round to this man, my expertise to show. I said, hey man, that's no morning roll, it's a rowie, don't you know? But then this wifey, she come in and said, we'll need to hae this out. That never is a rowie, it's a buttery ye galoot. I said, forget about the bottom shelf, the morning rolls are on the tap. Says the manny, that's a softy, says the wifey, it's a flurry bap. But then the baker, he chipped in to complicate the riddle. He said, actually, that's the Glasgow rolls, the morning rolls are in the middle. I dinna really ken fit ye I went, but I'll tell you fit I'll dee. I'll sell you enough to keep me recht, but of course the advice is free. Fin we all left the shop at last, Glasgow rolls is fit he'd Guinness, as well as rowie softies, flurry baps, nae a morning roll atween us. I get into the baker's the day just after 7. The baker said, I ken you weel, I ken fit you'll be having. No div you want a morning roll or a marang the day. I said, well, I just like a quiet life, so a marang is fit all hay.
The Doric is live and kicking. Denis, do you think that these, the Doric and Scots language, these singing, songwriting competitions, do they help to keep the language alive, do you think, Denis?
Up to a point, there's a few songs sung regularly today which started life as an entry in the Aberdeen songwriting competition, but I wouldn't say it's a large proportion of the entries over the years.
Well, there's just no end to this man's talents. You just show me this magazine.
Box and fiddle for that, Denis.
Well, for the uninitiated, a box is a accordion and a fiddle is a violin, and it's published by the National Association of Accordion and Fiddle Clubs, and there's monthly meetings held all over Scotland and some in England and probably some other places too. And I took on the honorary job of proofreader for this magazine about 3 years ago. So every month I get to read the magazine before it comes out because I have to proofread the whole thing.
Well, that's a very important job, the proofreading. This magazine goes all over the world, does it, Denis?
Yes, so I'm told. So the editor tells me.
But that's how much esteem that our language is held. It's our world, isn't it, Denis?
Oh, aye.
Our world.
And especially the accordion and fiddle music.
Musical Memories by Denis Shepherd. Tell us more.
Oh yes, that's me. This is part 11. Most months there's an episode of Musical Memories here. It started with number 1, which included some of the stories about my dad, which I've already told you tonight. And it goes through my different experiences of entertaining at the folk club and the TMSA and as a dance caller in Ceilidh bands and my Bothy competitions, and in fact after this part 11 there's another 9 parts I've already written ready to go in, so my memories are very deep.
Your memories are certainly very deep, Denis. Ceilidh dance calling, Denis. Tell us, what does that entail?
Well, you're part of the Ceilidh band really, and at the start of most dances, you get the people on the floor and then you run through the dance, tell them exactly what to do. You go left for 8, right for 8, so on. And then you make sure, well I made sure that everybody knew what they were doing before the music started. And then once the music starts, you keep calling once or twice through just to make sure everybody's got it right.
Let's get a sample of this, Denis. A sample of this.
I'll do this dance called Butter Peas. Right, if you've got a partner on the floor, right, I want you to join up with another couple and you stand in a circle and the man should have his partner on his right hand. Okay, anybody left over? Well, good. Right, if you join hands so you're in a circle of 4, circle left for 4, for 8 I mean, yes, circle left for 8. Now put your right hands together in the middle and you do a right hand star for 8. Turn around, put your left hands in the middle and go around a left hand star for 8. Back to your place. Now listen carefully, the man turns to the lady who is not his partner and you shake the left hand twice your place. Now turn to your own partner and do the same thing, left hand star. No, we've done the left hand star. Left hand, shake, 1, 2, clap, clap, clap. But this time, no, you're not swinging, you're jumping the gun. You take your partner in a ballroom hold, like this, and you waltz around, but move around the floor past the other couple until you meet the next couple coming in the opposite direction, and you link up with them and you start all over again in a circle of 4. And that's all there is to it. Okay, back to your original places and then we'll do it to the music.
Denis, you
That's
make that look simple, and it's not, is it? Denis, diddling.
Yes.
Diddling. This is another of your fortes, isn't it? Diddling. What is diddling?
Exactly. When I say to people I do diddling, just about everybody says that.
Laughs.
Well, you see, it started when I was 4 or 5, and as I said earlier, my dad and I liked music, and I liked music off the gramophone records and off the radio, and I knew all the tunes in my head, though I couldn't play them. But one day my dad came back for a raup. A raup is an auction sale. We have fiddle and 2 bows. Now one of the bows had strings, but the other bow and the fiddle didn't have strings. But I pretended they had. So I was an old lorry car that had dumped outside the house, and in my imagination that was a stage. So I stood up on this stage. It was surrounded by nettles, and in my imagination these were the audience. And I played this fiddle without strings for hours on end, but because it had no strings, it didn't make any noise, so I had to diddle the tunes myself. So I go diddle diddle dum ba da dee dee, diddle diddle doo dee da dee dee, and I stood for hours diddling these tunes. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I realised when I was young, I used to diddle. Why don't I do the competitions? Because I already do all the Bothy, verse and singing competitions. So I started entering the diddling, and I've won quite a lot of them as well.
He's a famous diddler.
Well, Denis, I think viewers will find diddling absolutely fascinating. Where do you think it would have originated from, diddling, apart from the you've experienced, Denis?
Well, maybe in the old days when they had their musical evenings. No doubt some people either couldn't play an instrument or couldn't afford one, but they still enjoyed the music and had a musical ear, so they could convey a tune just by diddling it, and you didn't need any instrument, you just diddle the tune.
Right, Denis, just diddle away.
Okay, I'll do the first tune which I include in my competition set. It's called the Invercalled House. It's a pipe tune which I learned when I was young with a chanter, but I diddle it now. Dum diddle diddle dee diddle dum ba dee diddle doo da dee diddle da dee a dum ba dee diddle da dee dee diddle dum ba dee diddle da dee o diddle dum ba dee diddle da dee o diddle dum ba dee diddle dum dee a dum dee dee diddle dum ba do diddle dum ba dee diddle da dee o dum a diddle dee doo diddle dum ba dee diddle dum ba dee diddle da dee diddle dum ba dee diddle 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 doo diddle dum ba dee diddly da dee o diddly dum ba dee diddly daddle diddle doo diddle dum ba dee diddle da diddle o da dee diddle da dee. And in a competition, you've got to do two pieces of contrasting nature and tempo. So this is the reel I've been doing, diddling. It's got Aitken drum. Diddle dum ba diddle diddle da dee a diddly doo dee da dee o diddle dum ba diddle diddle da dee a dum be da dee day o a dum be diddle diddle da dee a dum be doo dee da dee o diddle dum ba diddle diddle da dee a dum dee diddly day a dum ba diddle diddle da dee a dum be doo diddle da dee o diddle dum ba diddle diddle da dee dum doo dee da dee day. I'll let you hear this song. I learnt for a book by James Glennie. He was a teacher in Inverurie, and he wrote a song of Scots verse, a book of Scots verse. This scene was obviously written with a certain song in mind, because it just goes with the tune perfectly. So I'll play the intro, then I'll sing a wee bit of it. Give ye mind in long, long syne, in a timmer hoosey fine, socks by four and a little bet, doon at the garden fat. Give ye mind in long, long syne, fin the summer days were fine, and ye walk it to the lavie in the morning all together, and ye walk it to the lavie in the morning. Its walls were whitewashed clean, and its seat was scrubbed dean. It had pictures on the wa, and we thought it half a bra. Div ye mind in long, long syne, fin the summer days were fine, and ye scrub it out the lavie in the morning. But div ye mind yon winter's day, fin the frost would never loup, ye shivered in the timmer seat, and the wind blew round your doup. Div ye mind in long, long syne, and the winters that ye mind, fin ye frost it in the lavie in the morning. Fin ye frost it in the lavie in the morning.
I have a request, Denis. Something that will bring a tear to Abdi's eye. On you go, Denis.
My singing often brings a tear to Abdi's eye.
On you go, Denis.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days o' lang syne? For auld lang syne, my Joe, for auld lang syne, we'll tak a cup o' kindness yet, for auld lang syne. So here's a hand, my trusty fear, and gie's a hand o' thine, and we'll tak a recht guid welly wacht for auld lang syne. For auld lang syne, my Joe, for auld lang syne, we'll tak a cup o' kindness yet, for auld lang syne.
And a Doric poet. Right.
If you say so, yes.
Can't Come on, Denis.
I only write songs and poems if I feel there's something worth writing about. So I wrote this long ago when my family lived at a farm called East Sinahard, Glenkindie. I think, Glenkindie. Anyway, that's the point of the song. It's got far to abide, because if you go by the parish, the address and everything else, you got a different answer each time. Folks sometimes ask me, far to abide. Abide in a farm in Upper Downside. The ground faces north in a narrow like Howie, and the farm itself's in the parish of Towie. But across the park and over the barn, it's the parish of Lochel Coshney's turn. And on this barn stands a broken down schoolie. Nae Coshney nor Towie, its name is Cairn Cooley. Now, Sinahard shop is a mile or less, but of course Glenkindie's were proper address. But we vans and Land Rovers, the work is haver. The post comes nae frae Glenkindie, but offer. We're wheel off for doctors och I och hon. There's een in Rainy and een in Strathdown. So far to abide, a man draw the line. To be honest, your guess is as good as mine.
Denis, our Doric tradition still goes on in many different ways, doesn't it?
Oh, aye. I'll tell you how I carry it on. The tradition was, when we actually lived in that farm, Sinahard, I used to first fit other neighbours in a few days after New Year. And now, 50 years later, I'm still going back to Kildrummy, Glenkindie, to visit those that are still alive. And they say, oh, you're the only one that first fits us now. In fact, one of our neighbours said she had her grandchildren visiting, and she said, oh, this chap comes to first fit me every year, and he's been doing it since he was 18. And they didn't believe her. Aye. Aye, and she told her how old I was now.
The wee cock sparrow.
Aye. When I was young, the only night I was allowed to bide up till midnight was Hogmanay night to see the White Heather Club. And if anybody's older than me it's watching, you'll remember an actor called Duncan McRae, and he used to sing this song every year at Hogmanay. And every year he was slightly more drunk than the year before. He'd a big mow shaped like this, and my dad being a farmer, used to say, you could drive a tractor and cart through that mow of his. A wee cock sparrow sat in a tree. A wee cock sparrow sat in a tree. A wee cock sparrow sat in a tree. Chirping awa, as blithe as could be. Along come a boy with a bow and an arrow. Along come a boy with a bow and an arrow. Along come a boy with a bow and an arrow. He said, I'm going to get you, you wee cock sparrow. The boy with the arrow let fly at the sparrow. The boy with the arrow let fly at the sparrow. The boy with the arrow let fly at the sparrow. But he had a manny that was rowing a barra. The manny with the barra come over with the arrow. The manny with the barra come over with the arrow. The manny with the barra come over with the arrow. He said, you took me for a wee cock sparrow. And this time the wee cock sparrow. And this time the wee cock sparrow. And this time the wee cock sparrow was chirping awa on the shaft of the barra.
Well, thank you, Denis, Mr. Shepherd. It has been an absolute privilege for you to come from all the way from the Tune, for Aberdeen to Cruden Bay to Doric Studio, and to keep this Doric enthusiasm going. Haste you back, Denis.
Yes, all right.
Haste you back.
Oh, I am never to bide awa.